unalterable sweetness, the enjoyment of God. And remember, God is most glorified when we are satisfied with Him. David says, satisfy me with thy mercies. And indeed, David was satisfied with the mercies and the grace of God. What is the bottom line to all this? First of all, remember this, that all sin at root is distrust of God. All sin at root is distrust of God. We think, for example, of Eve in the garden. There she was. God said, don't eat of the fruit of the tree. And Satan comes along and says, eat of the fruit of the tree. And now she faced a choice. Whom shall I obey? What voice must I listen to? Shall I listen to God, who seems to be restricting me? Or shall I listen to Satan, who seems to be giving me a whole new sense of freedom? And furthermore, if I didn't eat, I'd always wonder what it was like if I had. So I might as well do it. And so she distrusted the goodness of God, and she ate. And of course, that was the beginning of plunging the entire human race into its sin and misery and despair. But you and I face the very same choice. Because the decision that we face is this, is it really true that I can trust God in my relationships? Is it really true that if I follow the Lord with my whole heart, even if I never am married, even if I never have a relationship that I would like to have of intimacy, that is much better and more satisfying and more fulfilling than finding that relationship and that fulfillment on my own terms? Do we trust God? Do you see now why sin is so serious? It's serious not only because of what it does to us, but it does grieve God. Now, God is happy with His people. God is a very complex emotional being. On the one hand, He is grieved. On the other hand, He does rejoice in us. But the simple fact is that our sin is saying, God, I have found a better way. In fact, it is necessary for me to choose another way because your way simply does not satisfy. Imagine how God feels when we say that. And then there's a second lesson. And that is, to seek God is not the renunciation of joy, but the fulfillment of joy. It's not the renunciation of joy, but it's fulfillment. You see, there are many people who think, well, I have to choose between my own happiness and following God. And if I follow God, then of course my own happiness is circumvented and I end up without any pleasures in this world, any meaning in this world. That's such a wrong conception of God that again we insult the Almighty. Because you see, when we pursue God, like Madame Guyon or Bernard of Clairvaux, when we pursue God, when there is something within us that says, God is the one who is going to meet my need, what we discover is the happiness and the sense of fulfillment and the sense of meaning that we have been looking for. It lies in the direction of God and not all of the other places that we think it should be. Do you remember what Jeremiah said to the people? Speaking on behalf of God, he said, the people have forsaken me, the fountain of living water, and they have gone out and they have dug themselves holes and cisterns that have no water. I want to tell you today from the bottom of my heart that when it comes to the world, all of the wells are dry. And some people never learn that, and they die still absolutely convinced that somewhere, someplace, whether it's through money or position or power or something, somewhere, their raging thirst is going to be satisfied. And they don't understand. It cannot be satisfied apart from God. This is Pastor Lutzer. I'm so glad that you joined us today, and many of you listeners may recognize the name of the message, Desiring God, as coming from the book by John Piper by that same name, and I'm indebted to him for many of the ideas that I've shared with you. But isn't it wonderful to know that when we pursue God, we are rewarded? And there's nothing wrong with seeking God and seeking that reward. I love the verse, in Hebrews chapter 11, where it says that he who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He diligently rewards those who seek Him out. That's the way one translation put it. My friend, today we're living at a day when there is so much stress, when there is so much turmoil, whether it has to do with the stock market and the fluctuation of our accounts and what have you. There are times now when people are distressed, when some of the older parents are moving in with their children, times of financial crisis. In the midst of it all, what we really need is a new vision of God. And I hope that as you join us for Running to Win, you will know that that is our heart's cry and prayer for you, because all of us need to see God in a new way. And we need to also recognize that when we sin, we grieve Him. Personal experience, I've noticed that what keeps me from sin is the knowledge that I am grieving the one whom I love. So our relationship with God is vital both for our fulfillment and both as a deterrent. God bless you today. See you next time.
Thank you, Pastor Lutzer. Dr. Erwin Lutzer has concluded Desiring God, a message on thirsting for the Lord, as King David wrote about in Psalm 42. Running to Win comes to you from Chicago's Moody Church to help you understand God's roadmap for your race of life. Today's message can be yours on CD, sent as our thank you when you give a gift of any amount to support Running to Win. Just call us at 1-800-215-5001. That's 1-800-215-5001. Online, go to offerrtw.com. That's offerrtw, all one word, .com. Or write to Running to Win at Box 11174, Chicago, Illinois, 60611. This is Dave McAllister. On Monday, don't miss a compelling new series asking, Is God on America's Side? Join us for our next Running to Win.